Real estate, traditional real estate, has a lot of experts. There's a lot of ways to invest in traditional real estate. What's traditional real estate? I don't know, land, vertical structures like apartments, self-storage, multifamily, commercial. Just think about real estate in general, anything you can see, touch, kick, or feel. Broad asset base, lots and lots of subcategories. I'm talking all the way down. We're not talking notes, we're not talking more. We're talking about physical ownership of real estate. Well, I'm 62. I've been investing in real estate since first time I bought my first house. I've had all kinds of different real estate that I've owned. I would not say real estate, traditional real estate, has been my largest investment strategy. Most of it's in oil and gas and energy, which also is real estate. Mineral rights are real estate. But I'll tell you something that I've done, and I want to share it with you. I have looked at one key element to what I believe has been very successful for me, and that's called the barrier to entry. That word's thrown around a lot. Most people don't even know what it means. But a barrier to entry means, how can I possibly get into a particular investment, a particular business, a particular industry, if the barrier, the cost, the capital, the exposure, the knowledge, the expertise is so difficult that almost no one can do it? Think about starting another spaceship company. You got Blue Origin and you got SpaceX. Well, unless you got $1 trillion laying around, you're not going to get in that business. Not any time soon. The barrier to entry is $1 trillion. Got it. But on a simplistic basis, let's think about buying a second or third home. Now, what I've seen the last 20 years is everybody buys 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 homes because they want to put it in Airbnb and they want to list it with VRBO and they want to have, or they're out buying 5, 10, 20, 40 rent homes because they want to be a real estate investor with a portfolio of rentals. They spend all their time with tenants coming, tenants going, and damage and insurance and yards, and they've got all that. I took a little different route. I personally don't like to rent. I look at the income that I make. I look at the headache of managing it. I look at all the human element, the personalities, the bad checks, the credit cards that fail, the damage they do to the house. And I go, that's just not my personality. I just don't want to do it. I've never done it, don't like it, but I've had thousands of millionaire clients that have been involved in that. And I sit back quietly and I listen to them. And I go, that sounds like a very unrewarding investment. So being somebody who focuses on barrier to entry and scarcity, because I like to buy producing oil and gas assets and leaseholds and minerals that are very, very difficult, if not impossible to buy, and you can't replicate it, I go, how about I take that same approach I have in oil and gas and use that toward real estate? So what do I want to own? I want to own assets that have a very high barrier to entry. I want to own that one lot that's on the river that no one else has. I want to buy that one ocean property, that one property sitting there amongst all these other developers. I say, that's the last open ocean lot available. I want to buy that house in the mountain. I want to buy that house in a luxury neighborhood. The only people that I want to work with when I buy or I sell the real estate that I own is people like me. People who respect, can afford, and are willing to pay for unique assets. I don't want to buy homes in a tract home neighborhood. There's 500 of them. I have no way of distinguishing my asset, my home, my real estate from anybody else's. I saw that when I bought my first tract home back in 1989. Mine was like the other 300 homes in the neighborhood. My price range was exactly within about $2,000 of the other 50 homes for sale. So starting back in about like 1990, 91, early in my career, I went and found myself a lake house. I paid about $465,000 for the house. It was on the lake, double lot, kind of an older house. I walked up and looked at it and I said, well, if I do the math and I scrape the house off, they're selling the entire house for less than what the lot cost. But most people don't have an imagination. So I bought the house, spent about $75,000, came in and gutted the kitchen, put in new carpet, fixed it up, took out the windows that were blocking the view of the lake. And now I had this beautiful looking remodeled house for $75,000 investment. I did some landscaping, bought a boat, house was gorgeous. Within 2 years, it was worth about $950,000. Wow. How many rent homes would I have to go out and buy to generate about a $500,000 profit? A lot. With a lot of headaches, a lot of checks that don't clear, a lot of tenants' complaints and new keys and torn out carpet and hot water heaters that don't work. I said, okay, I get this. So I essentially started looking at whether it be a townhouse or home. I don't like condos, by the way. The only real second luxury property I had was in a Four Seasons. And I basically broke even, may have lost a little bit of money because quite frankly, they're the hardest thing to buy because your condo is only worth the weakest condo member in the neighborhood, and there's no distinction, there's no uniqueness, there's no rare character. I want to go buy and invest in something that I'm going to use for myself. I'm going to get tremendous benefit from it. I'm going to enjoy the asset. And it's all about growth. It's not about income. What I want to do is own the property, knowing that I bought it right. And over the next 5, 6 years, I typically hold 5 or 6 years. I got a great house in Colorado or Costa Rica or Montana or in the Caymans. I own a property that I know on my worst day, I could sell it for at or what I paid for it. Because why? I only want homes that wealthy people, people with $1 million net worth or higher, people who have high income, can afford it. They never run out of money. And they're going to want the same thing I want. A great house, a luxury house they can use. If they want to go rent it out in Airbnb, that's their deal. But the key for me is over the last 40 years, I've made a lot of money buying luxury homes. I use it for my family. And every 5 or 6 years, I sell it for a really, really nice profit. And I take that money and I go out and buy another property. Let me give you a prime example. 2017, I had a house in Costa Rica. I sold the home. I had very little money in it. Sold it for a profit. I took that equity and profit and bought a house in Colorado because the market was soft around 2017 or 18. I evaluated the entire market, and it's not hard to do. You don't have to be a genius. You look around the house and say, I'm going to compare houses based on square footage and location, and I'm looking for unique. I'm looking for that one egg in that carton of eggs that's a brown egg and the rest are white because all the other white eggs are exactly the same. It doesn't matter which one I choose. But the only egg in that carton was the brown egg. In my case, I looked at major, 30, 40, 50 homes that I felt like were in the scope of being somewhat unique, and I analyzed. And I went and saw 4, 5, 6 homes. And at the end of the day, the home that I found, for whatever reason, in my analysis, was about $1.5 million below market value. I had no idea why. I so disbelieved the numbers because I saw the house. It was in great condition. I hired my own inspector. Okay, I hired my own appraiser. I said, what am I missing? And it was Charles Manson buried bodies in the basement. Don't know. What I discovered is the seller had bought it much cheaper, had already made himself in the profit that he wanted to make, and he just wanted to get rid of it. So I did everything I was supposed to, pre-due diligence, pre-appraisal, pre-inspection. They all said, this house is in immaculate shape. But based on market value, it was $1.5 million less than any other house of equal caliber. So I bought the house. Turns out the guy just wanted to get rid of it because he bought it for a much cheaper price, probably 5, 10 years prior. I sit on the house, enjoyed it, snow skied, took my grandkids there. I sell the house literally with about $800,000 in equity into it. I sell the house and I make almost 4 times my equity on the sale of the house. Now, this was about 8 months ago. So the market now is flooded with those who have second homes trying to get out. The market's gotten tight. More people are trying to sell. You couldn't find a house 5 years ago because of COVID. Now there's 50 homes like mine for sale. I was able to sell my house below the other 50 listings for slightly less than I could have made if I held on to it for another 5 or 10 years. But in my world, holding it for 5 or 10 years might have got me back a little bit more profit, but the whole time was detrimental to my overall return. And I was ready to move on like I normally am after 5 or 6 years. So I sold the house. I took the profit off that house, paid my taxes because it's personal use. I couldn't do a 1031. Took my money off that house, and I bought 3 other investments. I've already made money on the other 2 investments because why? I found another house identical to what I bought in Colorado. I bought it below market value. Essentially what I paid was the value of the dirt. And then I bought a lot. There was one simple lot remaining on the ocean. Barrier to entry, there is no more. I'll tell you, I paid $2.6 million for the lot on the ocean. I'm listing it for $5.8 million, and it will sell. I'm not bragging. I'm trying to give you a different way of looking at life. So you may say, well, I don't have the money you do. I don't have the money you do. I don't know what money you have. I took the first house, took that money and parlayed it to the next house. I took the next pile of cash on selling that house after 5 years, and it gave me more, and I put it in the next house. And I sequentially have done that in multiple assets over the last 40 years, where now I look at a really nice portfolio of real estate that essentially started with a very small investment. But here's the key. This is the key to the whole conversation. Stop looking at everything that 99 out of 100 people can afford. Stop buying assets that 99 people out of 100 are going to want to sell at the same price or lower than yours. Stop putting yourself in a box and say, I can't do that. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't buy bigger than you can afford. And don't buy it counting on Airbnb and VRBO. Buy it because you say, I want to be in that location. I want to be on that lake or that river or that ocean or that mountain. I want to buy it. And go do your homework. Go look at 40, 50, 60 different homes, and you're going to find there's a difference. And when you run it out and you look at it, go, this is the outlier. This is the unique unicorn. This is the one. It's in a great location, super high barrier to entry, can't replicate the location. It's below market, and you're going to scratch your head and go, but why? And I don't know how many people have told me over my 40-year career, oh, you can't buy that for that price. You can't buy this. You can't buy that. And one little secret, always ask for owner financing. Always. I'll bet you 9 out of 10 times the real estate I buy, I get owner financing. They don't want the money. They don't need the money. They just want to sell. And you recognize the sale, they manage their own tax, they do what they want, and you get really, really good interest rates, and you finance very quickly because they're going to carry owner financing. Put up your equity and let them owner finance it. Non-contingent on paying off the note early. I don't want to have any prepayment penalty. And what happens is I'll decide based on mortgage rates and timing, I might want to take the owner financing note out and put it into long-term financing, or I might want to pay it off. So what you're learning today from a guy who's been doing this for 41 years, I'm not an expert at real estate. I'm an expert at oil and gas. But in my own personal portfolio, I'm an expert, in my view, of buying luxury homes because I want to see the one home that maybe 1 out of 100 can afford. And I want to go look at 100 homes that only 1 out of 100 can afford and pick the one that all 100 out of 100 want to buy. Don't buy the octagon house. Don't buy the house behind the power lines. Don't buy the house that's down the hill instead of seeing the view. Buy the house that literally 100 out of 100 people will view that house and say, I want that house. It always gives you the ability to exit if you ever get yourself in a jam. So you start thinking about a 2-year hold, a 5-year. What if you get stuck in an economic downturn and you have to have a 10-year hold? I buy with the intent of fully owning it and holding it until I am ready to exit. I don't want to be forced out. Luxury home buying is exactly where you need to be. And you don't have to buy $5, $10, $20 million houses. You can start with buying an $800,000 house on a river, a $500,000 house on a lake. That's what I did. My first house, $450,000, $465,000. I didn't start big. I want you to know there is a market out there that very, very few people are aware of and very few people go after. And it's been there for all my entire career. And I made a lot of money doing it. I've had great homes, great experience with my family, and I make a lot of profit. Hope you do too.